The Special Investigating Unit has been looking into alleged corruption in the 2.4 billion rand KwaZulu-Natal school nutrition program. Since February, this comes after the service provider failed to deliver food to schools, and some schools were given rotten food. For more on this, we are joined by Kaizer Kganyago, the SIU spokesperson. Contractor Kganyago, appreciate your time on the show today. Obviously, when you step in, it's because you smell a rat. Just give us some context into what you've picked up, what you don't particularly like as the SIU.
Thank you very much, Hugo, and thank you to your viewers. We were made aware by a lot of people, but also with the media reports that are out there, that there is something that is not going well in KwaZulu-Natal Department of Education. And then we were not sure what is exactly going on, because we could not just go on the basis of what is in the papers. We then wrote to the department and we wanted to get from them the documentation in relation to this particular tender, so that we're able to know whether there's something to investigate or not. It was a to and fro issue until now, but we can safely now say that we are getting a lot of documentation and information, not only from the department itself, but from a lot of interested parties outside. As we speak now, we have got a lot of documents before us that we are evaluating to see whether we can verify the facts and determine whether we are in a position to do a proclamation or not.
Now, you've obviously said that you don't go by what's in the media, but something that has been in the media is that there was actually no tender documents. Is this correct?
For now, we cannot say yeah or nay, because we are receiving documents and we will verify that. And once we verify that there is prima facie evidence that we can use to do the proper investigation, then we'll write to the president to give us a proclamation and we start doing the investigation. That is the first part of what we can do. But in the meantime, if we get a secondment request where the department itself is requesting that we come in and investigate, that is the quicker way of starting the investigation. Then we can go in on a secondment while we are processing the proclamation, so that we can get to the bottom of what really happened here. But we don't want to just base it on what we read, because what we read might have other things in between. But from what we are hearing, it looks like something is not right, and we will verify that very soon. And once that is done, be rest assured a proclamation will be requested.
Now, you talk about things that aren't right. Well, one of the things that aren't right is that Persina Retail Private Limited, who were the owners of the tender, if it was indeed a tender, at least that had the assignment of delivering food parcels to 5,400 learners. What we learn is that they've given up the tender. In fact, they've just quit and dropped everything. That, for instance, doesn't sound right. What is your reaction to that?
For us, that should not be an issue at the moment. I think the department has to deal with how they give the nutrition to the students. We are going to look at what happened prior to this. Whether they have quit now or not is neither here nor there. We are going to go to the beginning of this tender and understand what really happened. If the processes were not followed, once we have got a proclamation, we will then be in a position to then say so, go to the tribunal and cancel that tender. If that is the case, because as I say, I always say if, because we have not reached that stage as yet. Therefore, once that is, if we find that is the case, we don't worry whether at some point you quit or you didn't quit. That doesn't worry us, because we will know if you are paid money and the contract is cancelled, we will then recover that money from you at any given time.
Are you at liberty to say how many parties are being investigated at the moment?
We are not investigating at the moment, Hugo. Therefore, we cannot say any party is being investigated. We are looking at the prospects of doing the investigation. We are just now in the verification stage, because there are processes. When we get a lot of people sending information to us to investigate, but in some instances you find that it doesn't go with our mandate. In some other instances you find that there's not enough evidence. Sometimes it's people fighting their own battles. That is why we've got to do this first part, which is very important, of evaluating the information before us. And that will determine whether we investigate, and from there we will know who to ask questions at what point. We've got to always be careful not to play in the hands of people who might be fighting their own battles.
Dr. Kganyago, I probably should have asked this question right at the outset, but let's talk about how does the SIU get to a stage where they are not investigating, but are collecting information to establish if an investigation should be carried out or not, particularly in this KZN school feeding program debacle?
Yes, we get to that stage when anybody comes as a whistleblower or whatever, and they say, we have got a problem here, we think you need to come in, we ask for documents. And the first thing that we ask for is information or evidence that will lead us to make a decision as to whether there is prima facie evidence for us to do the investigation. There are many cases where people just come and report matters and they never give us anything. Therefore, we do it all the time. It's not like we are doing it for this specific one. That is why the letter that I've seen being circulated was written by our head of the KwaZulu-Natal province, Mr. Ashish Gosai. And in that letter, he basically says to the department, can you please give us the information, the tender documents in relation to this so that we can verify what is before us, either through whistleblowers or through what is written in the media and is circulating around. Therefore, we do it with each and every report that we get. It's just that you would not know because some of the reports are done on the toll-free number, and then we then follow up with those people silently and get that information. This one is like this because it is in the public space.
Now, from what we don't understand again from media is that you've been collecting information since February. We're now on the stroke of May. Is this correct? And if so, what is that process? How long does it take you to collect information, or does it depend from one case to the next?
Yes, it depends from one case to the next, because when we ask for something maybe and then you don't get what you want and people are trying to duck and dive, you must remember when people start realizing that you are coming to investigate, to want to know what's going on, some of the people are affected and then they try their level best not to give you the information. It's only now, I think in a week or so, that we started getting a lot of information, not only from the department, but also from Scopa in the province, from many other people, so that we are now piecing all those things together. Therefore, we cannot say it takes so much time, but once we are done, we will then push that the proclamation be done quickly. Or like I said, if the department really wants to understand what is going on, they can request for a secondment and we can do it as soon as tomorrow.
Final question, Tade, is where does the police fit in into all of this? Once you've carried out your investigations, you then do a handover, or how does it actually work?
Yes, the police will always investigate if there is a reportage to the police for one reason or the other. But as far as we are concerned, once we do the investigation through a proclamation, we then, and we find there is criminal acts that happen, we then send it, the law or the SIU Act says we must send it to the NPA. And if the NPA needs more evidence from the one that we've given to them, they will rope in the police. In most cases, they rope in the section that is called the Hawks to start investigating. That we do as a matter of principle.
I was hoping that would be my final question, but I suppose this one would be my final question. What is the severity of the alleged crime in your books? Is this a serious crime that you're investigating?
Yeah, all the things that we investigate are serious because our issue is to make sure that there is no maladministration that happens in the departments, and we is to make sure that there is no corruption that happens in the departments. Therefore, anything that smells like corruption and smells like maladministration is serious to us, and it's not because of the value. Because I know I can see when we read a lot of documents, it's more the emphasis on the 2-point-something billion rand. For us, it's not about the value, it's to make sure that processes are followed, because those processes are there for a reason and they must be followed to the letter.
Dr. Kganyago, appreciate your time as always speaking to us. He's the SIU spokesperson.